what do I really want? Who am I? You know, like when you really ask these questions to yourself is when you decide what you want to do in life. Hello, my name is Chris Parra. I'm a visual artist. I divide myself into a painter and illustrator. Welcome to my channel. Thanks. I was born in 1990 in Bogotá, Colombia. Since baby, since I have memory, I always been drawing. My family, my house was always full of colors. You know, all the walls of my house back in Colombia were yellow, blue, orange, green. Also my mom and my grandma, they were artists themselves, not as a career, but as a hobby artist. So everything that you see at home is made by them, just purely out of love. So I think that was them, my mom and my grandma, who inspired me to be an artist, probably since I was born. Yeah. Most of the time I come and I do my coastal walk. I find like secret spots to do my meditation. I think it's one of the most important things because, for example, for art, I learned how to draw more when you learn how to observe. Also, when you start doing art or drawing or studying, there is a point where you start seeing everything as lights, shadows, colors, perspective. But yeah, it's fun. I like that. I went through school and high school being the drawing guy. You know that in every high school in your class probably was the drawing guy, the nerd, the sport dude. So I was the drawing guy. I was very into sports as well, but I was the drawing guy. When I think 15, I had a big accident and I broke my tibia and all the bones of my ankle. But I was like, okay, I can't skateboard anymore. I have some screws in my left leg, so I'm gonna start drawing. Then, when I was 17, I finished high school and I traveled to Argentina, to Buenos Aires, to study graphic design in the University of Belgrano. I thought that studying graphic design was gonna be there and drawing the whole day and stuff, but no, it was another thing. So it was not what I expected. So I quit uni at that time and I met this amazing person, Rhodes. He was my very first teacher, and let's say he was the one who discovered who I was as an artist, because I was doing some courses with him, and one of the exercises he gave us was doing some portraits in acrylic, black and gray portraits, I remember. And I did my homework. When I'm back to class, he was checking my portraits. He took me to a corner and he told me, Chris, that's what you have to do. That's what you meant to do. I was like mind blown, very happy and stuff, but I told him like, how can I live? How can I make a life of doing drawings and paintings? He explained me that there was a career called illustrator. That's a profession that you can live out of doing drawings. I had no idea that even exists. I just knew about kind of painters, like Dali, Picasso. All that for me was just like art, but I didn't know that there was something called illustrators that they do, like books, magazines, posters, everything that is just not painting is done by an illustrator. And I was like, wow, okay. And there was another guy, Julian de Narvaez, very amazing illustrator, explaining me how how to do it, how to make a portfolio. I had no idea that you have to have a portfolio, for example, all this stuff when you're a kid. So I started knowing all of that because of Rhodes. So Rhodes is a very key person in my artistic career. We were discussing about the inspiration in nature, and it's very important for me. As you can tell here, I don't have references. So everything is what I see when I'm painting, when I'm making art, not illustration. Where everything where I see, it's gonna be stuck in my subconscious, and somehow I'm gonna bring it here into the paintings. So it's very important. These walks for me, it's very important. Go out in nature, interact with nature, because I come back home and I'm gonna put it somehow here, So all these rocks that we were seeing there, all these shapes, for example, I can start introducing some shapes as well here, I don't need a photo. I could have the photo as well. There is nothing wrong with that. But I prefer to let it be as much as pure as I can, So, yeah, for example, I'm gonna do that. And I know already that I can add some textures or some holes of the stones that there is around there in Bronte that we saw in our walk. Next time or next videos, I could explain more in depth of how we reach this level of detail from the underpainting until actually the first layer of the painting. Later, that's gonna keep evolving and changing. When I finished the Rhodes course, all the courses, I made a portfolio and I started studying art direction in an academy of art direction. Yeah. While I was studying that, I met my teacher, Federico, and Fede asked me to work with him because he saw my portfolio, he saw my paintings. He was very interested in my work, and apparently he needed an illustrator for his studio. And I was one of his students. He checked my work. He told me, dude, come work with me, So I did few illustrations for them. I remember I was turning 20 when I was doing that. I met another key person in my life, Nazareno Tubaro, one of the best tattoo artists, well-known, or very well-known around the world. He saw my portfolio, he saw my drawings, he saw some future in my style, on my skills. I like tattoos. But I never contemplated the idea of becoming a tattoo artist. I did my apprenticeship with NASA for probably around a year and a half, 2 years. He told me, okay, mate, you know how to tattoo, just start doing it yourself. So everything changed because, I was working as an illustrator, I was doing my painting thing, but then I met NASA and my paths just divided, So I took the tattooing path, and there was when my career as a tattooing started. So I went back to Colombia, and my brother, he was already living here in Australia. One of those conversations with him, he asked me why don't you come here to Australia and study English? And I was like, yeah, okay, why not, And I came here apparently just for 6 months to study English until now. Yeah. So I became a real tattooer. I was traveling with tattooing, I was doing tattoo conventions, I was so much into it, but at the same time I was painting way less. I was very happy, but at the same time, I was like 95% myself, you know? I knew that something was going on, something was not 100% complete, like during these probably 5 years. So 2020 was a little, I know was a sad and bad time for the world, but professionally for me was really good time because was when I focused again on drawing, on painting, on illustrating. So I start contemplating the idea of, wow, I feel happy here. I feel great. I'm making my life out of doing drawings and illustrating at home. So, I start thinking again of, I might do this. I did my portfolio for digital art and for everything that was not tattooing. And I got a message from this guy. His name is Simota. He asked me to work with him for the video games industry, doing illustrations as a skin maker for weapons in video games. At the beginning for me was a little bit like, what is this, But then I told him, yes, let's do it, why not? So when I started realizing this job, I realized that was literally tattooing a weapon, but in a 3D program. So I was still tattooing, but now I was gonna be tattooing weapons because I have to check the anatomy of the weapon, how it works, and I have to do the lines all around and check, let's say, the muscles of, the bumps. So it works similar. So that was more as a, wow, I can do this at home by doing what I love, literally at home or wherever I want. In 2023, I decided to do a trip with my brother. So we decided to go back to Colombia, we went to Hawaii, we went to Los Angeles, we went to Cancun. It was a long, like 2 months brothers trip. In this December, I did an ayahuasca ceremony. And I remember when I'm back home, figuring out who I was, who I really was as a person. And that makes me realize who I was as an artist, that I was an artist, of questioning what do I really want and who am I? Like when you really ask these questions to yourself is when you decide what you want to do in life. So I remember after that ceremony, I had like a click, come back to when you were baby, come back what you were born for. So I realized that I am a painter, I am an artist. I should grab again the brushes, the colors, and start doing it again. As a painter, I'm doing these 12 paintings of the zodiac calendar. And as an illustrator, I'm doing as well probably 4 or 5 posters of different countries around the world. When I turned 34, that was like almost like middle age, getting there. So I was like, wait a second, I'm not a kid anymore. If I wanted to go into the art world, I needed a body of work. I needed a portfolio. I need, something to show the people that it's cohesive, that it has the same style. It has, because when I do just one piece, it's just one piece and then another piece, but maybe then has a different color. They have a different message, different storytelling. So it's not gonna match. So I needed to do some cohesive body of work. And then was when the idea of these 12 big paintings were gonna get executed. The 12 animals, it's just because I love animals, you know, and I wanted to do a big series. And the 12 were already a series, you know, it's the 12, the cycle, and I was like, okay, I love that, you know, it has a dragon, it has a rabbit, it has a rooster, it has like every different kind of animals. So I wanted to give it a try with my first oil painting series. That's why I picked this topic, and that's why I pick a big body of work, because I wanted to plan and to get somewhere. Right now, currently in 2025, I've been here as finally as a full-time artist and illustrator, and I would like to keep telling you more about my life, my processes of how I do my paintings, how I do my illustrations. Also, a little bit about my personal life, if you guys like. And that's it. That's a little bit of the introduction of myself, and I would like to tell you more in the next videos. If you like to subscribe and give it a like or something, just do it, and thank you very much. Bye.